Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this week's Star Report. This is Jason here at Dudamich Crystals and Reiki in downtown Brandon, Texas. And today's report is for December the 3rd through December the 9th, 2025. And as usual, we start with our closest star, the sun. The sun, there is a minor CME that should be impacting the Earth today. That's a coronal mass ejection. That's when plasma gets pushed out by a solar flare and heads towards the Earth. It is a glancing blow, so we shouldn't expect anything higher than a level 2 storm. So that might disrupt a little bit of your tech. Shouldn't produce that big of auroras, although they might get further south than usual. But the ones that were all the way down south, and everybody showed pictures of, what was that, last week before, was a level 4 or above. So don't expect that much glow in the sky. There is a coronal hole that is Earth facing, so we should expect that coronal hole stream by the weekend. And of course, when the coronal hole is there, that sort of gives us a contraction or a compression of the Earth. So earthquakes are normal. Sometimes that's going to give you a sense of heaviness in the body. And of course, we know the CMEs are sort of flittery. CMEs can increase heart palpitations and issues like that, and then cause flaring in chronic stuff like lupus. So pay attention for that kind of energy if you are dealing with those kinds of things. There are a group of large sunspots that are Earth facing, and so those are the ones that blew up off the side and is giving us the glancing blow that's happening today. So they are active and they are large. So there could be some large CME events this week. Pay attention to your favorite solar weather channel. Usually YouTube's a good place to find that. I like Space Weather News if you want to go look for that. We are currently, speaking of stars, in Sagittarius, and alchemically, that's going to relate to your body, into your hips and your thighs. So sometimes that's a little bit of sluggishness, a little bit of slowness, right? When that extra energy is running through there, it sort of feels like a tightness in the hips and thighs, right? And of course, that is how we mobilize and how we move forward, right? So that extra tension or energy there, once you sort of get over that stiffness, is actually energizing you to actually move into change. So pay attention for that energy of Sagittarius. We are currently only in 4 retrogrades because Saturn and Mercury went direct over the week that I was gone. Good energy to have been behind us now. We are still in that post-Mercury retrograde shadow. So you might have some things that are communication and relationship-wise tightening up over the next week and a half or so. So pay attention to that. But we are currently in 4 retrogrades: Neptune, Chiron, Uranus, and Jupiter. And so Neptune is really about spiritual awakening. Everything starts to have a spiritual bend to it, or you start to see the spiritual end of the mundane. When Neptune is in retrograde Chiron, is really expanding our self-worth. What's the point? What are we doing? Am I worth it? Why am I not famous yet? All that fun stuff. Pay attention to that energy of Chiron, Uranus, which is sort of reinventing what it means to be human, right? And so most of that, when we call it a spiritual awakening, we're understanding that this physical form that we're in is the result of our spiritual health and wellness. So sort of reinventing, like, how does this body function? Are we chemical? Are we electrical? Are we some sort of semblance of both? Usually it's about the shape of the electrical currents in the body. Yeah, so pay attention to that. And then also Jupiter is in retrograde, and that's really about the expansion. Mostly people experience this around career, right? Whether that's more money, whether that's a different job, or whether that's the expansion of duties, or if you own your own business, the expansion of your scope. And then, of course, that also means the Jupiter's about expanding abundance, right? So pay attention to that, which leads us into today, Wednesday, the 3rd of December. Uranus and Neptune are really aligning today for expanding your awareness to what's possible. So not only have you been having these goals, and then you've been learning all the lessons about what you are and how to get those goals, but sometimes we set those goals from a limited self. So this is sort of really expanding the idea of possibilities that's going to sort of come today. Alignment becomes the feeling that you sort of have that you're in alignment, that things are working rather than this disjointedness, right? I worked on something here, I worked on something there. How are these things coming together? So sort of look for a little bit of relief from all of the tension of the planetary stuff that's been going on, and maybe relief of the tension that happened over the holidays. I wasn't at your holiday, so I don't know if it was tense or not, but it might have been. And then sort of the energy is these long-term goals really sort of start to um, present themselves to having steps to do it, right? So like, hey, here's how I get to that. So that's good energy for a Wednesday. Tomorrow, Thursday, the 4th of December. We're in December. Oh my God, we're in December. Year is almost over. 4th of December, super full moon, um, which is also going to be aligned with the Pleiades. Right, that's the seven sisters. And so, really, the energy of this full moon is the 2025 lessons that we've been working on in this difficult year start to complete and become clear. Like, what did they mean? What was the point? Kind of stuff. So, that's good. Intuition is going to be heightened. Um, and that intuition is really going to focus on how powerful you are, right? That would be your thought process and your self talk. When you actually act in alignment with yourself of what you want and not what you're supposed to do or what other people tell you to do. And then all of a sudden you become super powerful. And this lunar cycle is sort of completing a 19-year cycle. And so you want to think about energies that happened all the way back in 2006. If you're not old for that, well, then good for you. But yeah, just sort of like sort of see a life cycle of like 2006 till now, and sort of see how that goes for you. Leads us into the Friday, the next day, Friday, December, not November, December the 5th. The moon is going to be opposing Mars, and that might give you a little bit of agitation going on. And that agitation is really, you sort of see the end goal, and the agitation is all the things or how long the journey seems to be getting there. But hey, at least you're clear on where you're going. So this is sort of like, I want the results now. Um, just sort of pay attention that you don't want to short circuit the process of all the work you did on yourself in 2025, going, okay, I did all this work, now give me the result. You did all this work so that you could work through the steps to get to that result. The moon is also going to be squaring Neptune, allowing you to sort of feel the emotion of completion, right? So that might be sort of also agitating you, like, hey, I know how it's going to feel when I actually get there. But what you should be using is using that energy or that emotion of what it's going to feel like when you get there to sort of power through the steps and the agitation of the work that's necessary to do. And then the moon, after being super in full, is going to give you a sense of peace, right? So it's all going to work out kind of peace, like, oh, it's all going to be fine, even though the cosmos and the culture might not be seeming like it's calming down. Leads us to Saturday, December the 6th. Mercury is going to be trining Jupiter. Really just sort of a good day to be doing, I don't say paperwork, but like applications if you're applying for a loan, applying for a job. If you're doing business stuff already, it's good thing for business. And oh yeah, and it's really on Thursday in the full moon. This is sort of the day to like execute on all those plans, right? So they'll be more successful on Saturday if you start to do all that paperwork and stuff. And sometimes maybe it's outside of your regular job, so you'll have the time off or whatever to sort of focus on that kind of stuff, or like what to do next and how to get there. And just sort of checking documents would be a good energy for Saturday. Sunday, the 7th of December, Mercury is going to be trining Saturn. It's really going to give you inspiration to sort of set up habits, right? This would almost be a good time to start New Year's resolutions before New Year's and just sort of build in habits that are going to get you where you're going, not going full force for a certain amount of time and tiring yourself out. This is really sort of building those habits to achieve the dreams that you sort of came up with. Moon and Jupiter are also going to be aligning. You see some financial gains. whether that's the stock market goes up, whether that's you get that job you applied for, all those kinds of things. And let's see what else. Moon is also trining Mercury, um, which could increase your ability to learn, right? So if you're doing all this new stuff or all this things that you're going to do, this is a good day to sort of learn like how that happens, right? A lot of times we do new things and we don't know how to do it, and we spend all this time learning how to figure it out, and that sort of slows us down. So Sunday is going to be a good energy to sort of get through all that and learn quicker and sort of understand like, oh, okay, this is what this means. So look for that on Sunday. Monday, the 8th of December, the moon's going to be opposing Pluto. Really, Monday is just sort of the day to avoid confrontations. Yay. Sometimes you can't, but like if you can avoid, like, hey, if you're the one agitated, and you should avoid starting the fight. Um, Also, the moon's going to be trining Venus. So interestingly enough, there's conflict, but also the moon trining Venus is really about a good time for people that are already married, for engagements, or sort of stating that kind of stuff. Um, all that kind of energy could make work a little tedious, right? Oh my God, confrontation. Marriage proposal is good. I'd rather, be on a date than sit in this computer kind of energy. So pay attention to that on Monday. Case of the Mondays this coming Monday. And then Tuesday, the 9th of December, Neptune is going to be going direct. And so that Neptune energy is really that sort of dark night of the soul energy that we've been sort of like, hey, what is the purpose? Is there a purpose? Why do this when A, B, and C are never going to change, or I can't affect that kind of change? So that energy lifts. So you want to think of that maybe as a move from pessimism to optimism. So that's a good Tuesday. Also on that day, the sun's going to be trining the moon. Boost of happiness. What? The moon is going to be trining Mars, giving you willpower, not motivation, right? So all of this stuff in this, oh, I can't wait till it's completed. It's going to be so great. And then like all the steps to get there. This isn't like inspiration, like, yeah. And then this step, this is more like, okay, I have the energy or the wherewithal or the focus to actually power through. So that sounds like a good Tuesday. And then the moon is also squaring Uranus, which is really going to be having you feel headstrong, right? So you could experience that as resilience. The cautionary tale is don't embody that as unable to learn, or unable to take guidance or direction or coaching from somebody close. But also, it's sort of the other side of that is you could be feeling like, here's how everybody else is doing it, but you have a weird or an eccentric way where, like, but if I do it like this, nobody else is doing it like that. And all those little kitschy things are great, right? There's a reason that things are done the way they are, because there's a formula to it. And in the general, every once in a while, a newness sort of pops out, like, oh, that is a better way, right? So maybe you're going to have one of those better ways, but also cautionary tale with your headstrongness, like, that whimsical, cool way you decided to do something might not be the most successful. So pay attention to that on Tuesday. I think that's everything that's going on this week. I should be in the shop all week. Oh my goodness. Sorry if you missed me last week for the Thanksgiving week. I did have a good Thanksgiving holiday. Thank you for asking. And let's see. Yeah, so 11 to 5 all week. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And then I'll be back next week for the report. Until that time, let me find this button for stop recording. And until next time, everybody, many blessings.